Howdy, folks. Woody Walls from NeedCoffee.com here. Back again for another Wayhomer review. Here's how it works for the uninitiated. I have just left the cinema. I'll take that. Hello, folks. Where am I? There I am. I've just left the cinema. It's back that way, where I've seen a film, and I'm going to tell you about that film on my way home. And today we're here to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, so, let's get the show on the road. Alright, so, yes, I'm not driving today. I am merely holding this camera in front of me, which is going to ensure that people look at me strangely, even more strangely than they normally do. Alright, so, The Amazing Spider-Man. Let's talk about this. Synopsis. So, we have a young man by the name of Peter Parker, who gets left with his aunt and his uncle. Because his parents have to hightail it somewhere. We're not quite sure where. And they, for various and sundry reasons, don't come back. So, left with his aunt and his uncle, he's got this mystery going on about what happened and why they left. And when he starts to chase down leads for this, it leads to a particular doctor, Dr. Curtis Connors, who knows something, but isn't telling everything. And as a result of things happening, we get an origin story for Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is born. And stuff. That's the basic, that's the only setup that you really honestly need, because that's all that the trailer showed you, apart from stuff that comic book people would pick up on, like, you know, things in the trailer like, no, really, we're going to have web shooters. You know, things like that. Important stuff that spoke to comic geeks like myself. But anyway, so there's your synopsis. Now, let's say, first of all, that I understand there have been attempts at Spider-Man before. Admittedly. Everything from, what was it, on the Electric Company to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, a personal favorite of mine, to the Japanese version where he's got a robot. I mean, everything has been done, okay? And some versions are better than others. I understand that there was a previous attempt at making some Spider-Man movies. And what I would like to tell you is that it appears that someone's actually made a Spider-Man movie, a live-action Spider-Man movie, rather than just making a movie that looks a lot like Spider-Man and happens to have a guy in a red and blue suit. They've actually made a Spider-Man movie. I know you're incredulous. I know you're saying, Widge, you've obviously been smoking something. That's why you always wear sunglasses, because you're smoking it up and you're high on something. In fact, I bet you're on your way now. You're not going home. It's a munchy home. It's a way munchier. You're going to go because you got the munchies from smoking somebody. No, it's an actual Spider-Man movie. Now, why do I say that? I say that because, yes, he has web shooters. Yes, he's a very intelligent, bright kid. Yes, he's a bit goofy and shy and stuff. And yes, and most importantly, one of the things that I love about Spider-Man, and why I think a lot of people do enjoy Spider-Man, is because Spider-Man, for the most part, is doing everything that he does on instinct. He's not like Batman, where he's been trained in you know, Craven manga, whatever it's called, where you fight with your elbows. He's not, you know, he's not like a member of the Avengers, where he basically knows how to kick ass or something, or wears armor. He's a kid in a suit. Now, granted, a suit designed by Cirque du Soleil, but he's in a suit, okay? And by the way, that appears to be the way to get a suit made. I mean, if you think about it, if you're going to have somebody flipping around and going crazy, I mean, who knows better how to dress somebody who flips around and goes crazy than Cirque du Soleil? That was a brilliant piece of costuming. Anyway, my point being is that he's nervous. He talks while he's fighting. He banters. Bantering Peter Parker is one of the favorite things about my version of Spider-Man, because he's nervous. And just like when you're growing up and you're reading Spider-Man, you can relate to a guy who is going, oh, crap, here's a guy on a floating, you know, rocket glider with pumpkin bombs, and I gotta go fight him because there's nobody else. Oh, crap. there's something to be said for that. And so that, for me anyway, is an important part about what a Spider-Man movie should be. Oh yeah, that and not sucking. That's kind of important too, all right? So with this version, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're doing it again, they're doing it too soon. But you know, it's never too soon to do something properly. And in case you haven't picked up on it so far, I'm very, very happy with this film. And there's a lot of reasons to be happy about this film. Now, granted, you've got Andrew Garfield, who I have read is a huge Spider-Man geek, and so did not seem like the kind of person who is going to do anything but bring his A game to the party, right? So you've got that. You've also got, I'm going to screw up his name, Rhys Ifans. I'm sure that's wrong. You know I can't pronounce names. Dr. Curtis Connors, very good as well. Dennis Leary, quite a great showing. You had Emma Stone, a terrific Gwen Stacy. But for me, the thing that really sets the movie up, whoever cast Sally Field and Martin Sheen, please give yourself a pat on the back, okay? And if I ever run into you, I am buying you some serious coffee, okay? Because I have always loved Sally Field, okay? She was a terrific Aunt May. Martin Sheen's a great Uncle Ben. And because they're so wonderfully human, okay, and so genuine and so real, they completely ground you in a reality in which you go, okay, yes, I can see why Peter would be the way he is and want to be the way that he, is. So, for me, that, having them there to kind of ground the film before all of the flippy stuff happens is really quite smart. It also helps the fact that it's actually written well, that things make sense. I mean, they pretty much adhere to the basics of the origin story in a way that feels organic, okay? That doesn't feel forced. Things make sense. And part of the thing is that I think with 2012, what we are seeing is a maturation of the genre of the comic book film from a standpoint of the fact that they've figured out how to do something that is both equally comic book and equally film. I think we've talked about this before with, like, the Avengers, is that you have to have the best of both worlds and yet avoid the pitfalls of both. And both the Avengers and Amazing Spider-Man, in my opinion, do that. Is it comic booky? Do things sometimes happen for convenience sake? Yes, but you know what? That's what happens in comic books. And to a great extent, it happens in movies. And you have to find the right balance of how that works so it doesn't take you out of either thing. I know some people will say, oh, well, no, what about Dark Knight? Dark Knight was a great comic book movie. No, Dark Knight was a crime epic that just happened to have 2 lunatics in costume in it. Pretty much, okay? There's very little comic booky going on about the Dark Knight, and that's not a bad thing. Not all comic book movies should be comic book movies. Some of them should be movies. But in this case, it works to have Spider-Man be a comic book movie. And it's a most excellent comic book movie. Now, here's something that I found startling, is that I didn't know what to do with myself sitting in a live-action film that I felt like, okay, that wasn't Hugo, that I went, wow, I actually feel really good about having spent some extra dough on the 3D. Because the 3D was really good. It was almost like they, I don't know, they planned it. It was almost like they thought about it. It was almost like they had a preconceived notion about how to do a film that was 3D. And I'm not talking about the kind of 3D film where it's constantly going, hey, how can we fling something at the camera? I'm so 3D. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, the Muppet Vision 4D type of thing at Disney, which is great for what it is, but not necessarily in a live action, action film. But no, with this, it really was well done. In fact, don't get me wrong, I love the Avengers, but I thought the 3D in Spider-Man was actually better utilized than in Avengers, because when I went and saw Avengers the second time, without the 3D, I was fine. But with this, it really added something. Now, granted, the difference is that obviously with Spider-Man, you've got lots of chances to have things fly out, and he's swinging, and there's more opportunities for really playing up the 3D. So, not to denigrate anything that the Avengers did, but anyway, I was really happy with the film. It eased you into the world of it. It set up the world. It made it a safe comic book world to believe in, okay? In that it didn't violate any of its own rules. And, I mean, does it have some rah-rah moments? Yes, but it's a comic book movie. I mean, there's nothing in there that really completely took me out of the film to go, okay, now you're really pushing it, right? So, I was very happy. I'm actually quite stunned. Here's what I thought. I thought that Andrew Garfield, who I like a lot, okay, was gonna nail Peter Parker and probably then Spider-Man, and I was gonna be good. And I was probably gonna be happy with that portion of it. I did not expect to be as happy as I am, and just very completely satisfied. Especially after the disappointment with the those other films, really. So, I mean, geez, I don't know what to say beyond that. I will say cup-wise, I mean, if we say, okay, because I know that I gave Avengers 5 cups after I was somewhat bullied into it after the whole cowl thing, okay? Which I didn't care about as much the second time because, I don't know, I guess I was sort of used to it. So, my initial thought on Spider-Man, simply because I thought it was extremely well executed, not perfect, and, some of the convenience things, yes, could it have been executed maybe, a 1/10 of a percentage better? Maybe. So, right now, I'm saying 4.5 cups. But I am going to allow myself to stew upon that a bit before I actually decide for real. Should you see it? Yes, you should see it. Okay, here's how good a movie it was. We went to a Regal cinema. I know that was probably our mistake. But basically, it was so good, I was only distracted by the fact that a bunch of morons chose to bring their, 2 and under kids to this particular showing of the movie, one of which was in front of us playing a little tune. I guess she was trying to accompany James Horner's score on her straw from her drink. I barely cared because I was enjoying the film so much. That's a pretty enjoyable film. Because you know me, I think they talk about this in the trailer. They mention a biowarfare attack. I consider kids in a theater a biowarfare attack because they smell and they make noises and they're biologically based and they're committing war on my ability to enjoy films. So there you go. That's me with kids, and I barely cared because I was enjoying the film. Yes, you should see it. I would recommend catching a matinee. I would probably even say, you know what? Wait and see it the second weekend. Let it calm down. If possible, see it during the week so you can stay away from people who ruin films. And if you can, see it in 3D. I know it's weird for me to actually recommend seeing something in 3D that's not animated or Hugo. But just trust me on this. I think you'll find it's worthwhile. So yes, very, very happy. And very stunned to see that apparently the only thing I can figure is that everybody else realized that, it makes no sense for us to be movie companies that are making, crappier movies than a comic book company. That's the only thing I can figure, right? They got embarrassed. And you know what? If that's the case, then good on you, Marvel. I'm glad you know how to make movies, and I'm glad you're inspiring other people to make better movies. So there you go. I'm happy. Hopefully that helps you make an informed decision about Spider-Man, the 3 of you who haven't already seen it. So thanks so much for watching, as always, for these things. If you enjoy it, please come see us. If you're watching this on YouTube, come see us on neatcoffee.com. This isn't all we do by a long shot. sit in darkened cinemas and tolerate children. That's not all we do. There's plenty more. And if you do come to Need Coffee, share what you find there with your friends and family on Facebook or Pinterest or any of those other 15,000 ways that you have to do so. It helps us out a great deal when you spread the word. That's how we've built the number of insane people who have come to the site so far. And we can always use more. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.